Welcome back, John.
Yay! John's in the studio. We're all together. One big happy family. This is Rebekah Freedom, and this is episode 22 of Heard Not Seen, titled none other than Why Are There So Many Fucking Life Coaches?
Why are there so many
fucking life coaches? Right? Like, I actually... there's so much going on in the world right now. I can't even begin to grasp the enormity of the historic events that are happening in a way that has probably never happened again, because we're so connected on social media, because we're so connected through so many different avenues of the interweb, cyberspace, the internet. You have the people in Ireland that are like, what the fuck are we going to do now that Trump's in office? I can't believe we're choosing this.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to shake it up.
The Trumpkin. He's already orange and he squashed Hillary.
Don't you feel a little shaken up since the election?
Well, no one's grabbed my pussy, so no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I know so essentially I was sitting at my home last night and I was watching Tales of Light, I think on Netflix, which is a series of different adventure photographers and nature photographers, and and the cinematography of it was, it's sort of like a representation of a representation. The actual filming of the photographer in their landscape, taking the pictures, is stunning.
What's the name of this?
I believe it's called Tales of Light on Netflix.
Okay, I'll look it up. And you'll include it in the show notes, won't you?
I'll include it in the show notes. Of course. So essentially, I was watching this. I was like, wow, there are people who have dedicated their lives to like going into the most gorgeous places on the planet. And I'm just sitting here in my living room being like, what do I want to do with my life? And then I really started to think about, well, I'm one of many that could be clustered in the category of life coaches. But then I was like, well, what the fuck is that? Like, why do we even need life coaches? Like, why are they even necessary? And I did a little research, I did a little Googles, and I found that early in the 60s, like late 60s, early 70s, the emerging of like the self-esteem world, kind of thing, is where the genre, it was like the tennis within or something like that. I don't know, was one of the original...
inner game of tennis.
Yes. Thank God, John knew. I was before my time.
Obviously, I'm not a millennial, although I support the cross-generational thing.
Yeah, yes. The inner game of tennis. It's kicked it off. And so, and then essentially now we're in this place of there's so much to be a registered psychotherapist. If you start in one state, you have to go by that state's rules. In Colorado, for me, it was 2,000 hours in the field, as well as taking a national test.
That's about as much time as it takes to get a license to fly, I think, 2,000 hours.
Well, a license...
And there's, I think, 40 hours in a year in terms of a normal 40-hour work week. Something like that.
And plus, then you have to have like 100 hours of supervision or more or whatever. Like you basically go to school and then you're another 2 years out. So
right.
It's a lot of jumping through hoops. So people skip the process and they say, I'm a coach. Well, the issue with this is that people who are actually really qualified, they have done like me, motherfuckers, who are really qualified, who have done the work to work with people with PTSD, different multiple populations, and have trained themselves in the traditions, the spiritual traditions, and just fucking educated. People who are just educated, really, truly skilled at holding space for trauma, right? Mm-hmm. Because being a human is traumatic.
It is, and you have to, that's a whole other show, don't you think?
Yeah, but this is one of the reasons where there's life coaches, because...
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, let's not debate this. Why don't you just channel that for us, would you please? We had some static there. You want to try again?
I'll try again. So I sat down and I wrote about this. Why are there so many life coaches? And I'm currently just feeling so strongly that we're a dying breed, right? Like a couple of my friends spent $700 or $1,000 to go to Tony Robbins this last weekend and listen to him. And you know what they came back and said? Because he was on stage for maybe 2 days out of the whole thing, and they had Pitbull and they had other like music being like, They came back and they're like, oh, it was a good reminder, and the best medicine is dancing. I'm like, you paid $700 to remind yourself that you needed to go dance. Oh,
could have gone to Belly Up, right?
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Yeah. So, so he's, he's hammering NLP and whatever his shtick is. But I'm just coming to this awareness, like that we're outgrowing life coaches, we're outgrowing therapists, because sovereignty is the new being personally sovereign in your body, and meaning I have full authority, right? So and I wrote this in my article, and I'll post it on the show notes.
Where's the article? Elephant Journal?
It's going to be on Elephant Journal, but it's in pending. I wrote it last night. It was just one of those things.
Yeah, you look like you wrote it last night. Stop it. You can push back.
That's a compliment. I'll take it. I'm not getting compliments these days. Anyway, so I'm too sovereign. I don't need them. So the whole thing, I was like, the lie of life coaching, the lie of therapy, the lie of drugs, the lie of anything is that it has the answers. The poof. Magically, there's an answer, right? Like, I got pain. Well, you can take a drug, but that's not an answer.
Right.
That is not, that led you to a different possibility.
Exactly.
So I can't even, like, my blood boils when someone's just like, oh, I had a bad childhood and now I'm a life coach. I'm like, son of a bitch. Or you've seen it in action. When I lose my marbles in the room when someone else is facilitating and I can't even.
Yes. There's no amount of water that would put that fire out.
It's kindergarten. Oh, Lord Almighty, help me.
So what happens to you internally when you experience that? When
my blood boils and that whole piece, ultimately for me, it's about choosing beyond. It's like, there's the edge of existence, right? And everything we've ever chosen and all the stuff we're predicating our lives on in the past and all the knowledge that's come before, and that we're still just in this repetitious thing. So what comes for me is this internal like pressure of like, there has got to be another choice here. There's got to be something else, somewhere else that we can create beyond the edges of our imagination, that we can out-create our creators.
That exists in waking dreams.
Yeah. And I was thinking on the way over here, I was just like, because I've been waking up every morning and listening to motivational speakers, and they're like, don't give up, follow your dreams, don't give up. And they really like yell at you. They really like make sure to yell at you and have like timpani playing in the background. So you're just like, yeah. So two things. The first thing is like, well, what is a dream? What is that, right? What is that, that construct we're saying, like, live your dreams. And I was like, well, there's something else beyond that. Of course, now I can't remember. But I encourage people to figure out what that is for them, because a dream is an ever fluctuating state. And so we think, don't give up, chase your dreams, keep going. But I might want to have been famous like all the time, but what if I want to go be famous as a makeup artist, right? But I've told myself, no, I've studied this, I have to do it this way. Like your dreams, and oftentimes, if we really want to say follow your dreams, they're fucking weird. Like how flying on unicorns in like my kindergarten class, and then all of a sudden, like, being in the middle of a war. Like dreams are just
You have
weird.
Dreams like that?
I have very vivid dreams.
Yeah, very vivid, scary dreams is what you have.
Yeah, definitely had some.
Do you remember them all?
I remember a lot of them when I wake up. One of my recurring dreams as a kid was putting phone books on the driver's seat and driving away from my home. And sometimes I'd end up in the ocean. I'd have end up not in the ocean, at the ocean, different places in my dream. But I would always try to come back the way that I left, and I never could. I would always be lost. And that was my recurring dream over and over and over again. I'd be in a car.
So any of you folks out there that are dream experts, you might want to just call in. Wait, we don't have a phone number to call. But you can go to Alternative Health Tools and leave us a message. No, I'm sorry. We can do that. Or how do they get a hold of you, Rebekah?
If you want to comment, just leave it in a comment below or follow me on my Facebook page at Rebekah Freedom. You know, I think that's the main thing here. Okay. Which brings me to a whole other conversation. So thank God for John. He just anchors me in. So why are there so many fucking life coaches? Why? Right. And are we outgrowing them? Like, are we really outgrowing that model of like, is that working for you? The Dr. Phils of the world. And then I started to think, and this is the second thing I started to think, when you think about a woman, motivational speaker, who do you think of?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, I am motivated in probably different ways than most people. I'm motivated by gentle strength. And so I'm highly motivated by Tara Brach. She's a Buddhist meditation teacher who I think is awesome. And it's motivational because it takes me deeper inside myself to what really feels right and truthful.
And thank you for that answer, and shout out to Tara. Hey. But when I really started thinking of it, I was like, well, when you think of Oprah, the big one, she's an entertainer, right? And when you think of Susie Orman, she specializes in money kind of things. And when you think of Louise Hay, she's more the affirmations and things like that. I was like, but if you ask, is there the male motivational speakers? There's Eric Thomas, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, and Tony Robbins, of course. And Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. There's so many. There's
Kyle Cease.
Yeah, Kyle Cease. Kyle Cease is really great.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle in his own way. Will Smith in his own way. So you can almost you could sit there and rattle off 10 just really off the tongue. But when I think about the female motivational speakers, the ones who are, and this is what I'm saying, this is a motivational speaker is quite different, I think, than a life coach, right? Because when I think of life coach, I think of you're a goddamn cheerleader on the sideline with your fucking pom-poms being like, go do it. You can do it. And some people really need that, right? And that's why I would say that I was also thinking about other people in my field that they're quite innocuous. They have a really they don't have an edge to them. There's one woman I know who's working for this group, Access Consciousness. I just took a class from her and it was really great. But her marketing is like, hey, unicorns, yay. And a lot of people love that. And it's super fun and light and easy. And there's this part of me that's like, I just, for the life of me, that's not my thing. Because I was like, creation to me is lightning, is freedom. That is really the representation of the energy that I'm channeling and going through. And there's part of me that's like, well, what would it take for me to be, why wouldn't executives in multi-million-dollar companies hire a psychic to work alongside them? Doesn't that make a lot of sense to have some extra sensory information to be like, we're about to close this deal. What's the environmental impact? What do you see for the vibrations of the earth? Makes total sense to me.
What do you see as far as this particular deal versus this deal? I can't tell you how many times, my clients talk to me and they're just like, yeah, someone's hating on me. I'm like, well, this is what's actually going on till we suss it out, till you can see the root cause and come to compassion over it, and everybody gets fucking liberated from it. So I think that me asking this question is from my own frustration. It's from my own understanding that it's going to take, at least my awareness is, it's going to take boots on the ground, literally going from just in the old days, door-to-door salespeople.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Country is built on those guys.
Built on them, door-to-doors. And I was like, I'm not to be a salesperson, but door-to-door introductions. Like, let me like look in your eye and shake your hand.
What an awesome idea.
What?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I'm irritated. It's irritated because being a person who there's a lot of energy and creation going through is irritating. It's irritating. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes you can't do it as fast as you want to. Mm-hmm. I know I woke up and my body was super stiff today, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm dying!" And then I started looking up like fibromyalgia on like WebMD, whatever else. I'm like, "Oh, it's come to this."
Rebekah, no, it has not. Okay. You're just having a bad morning. Okay.
No one's going to ever love me again. I'm screwed.
You wish.
He knows me so well.
And what was your dream last night that precipitated this whole morning?
Well, it wasn't necessarily
I'm doing therapy.
I like it. It wasn't, I'm just saying my dreams are really vivid. I don't really recall any from last night, but I went to bed with this energy of like, okay, so it's pretty common, and then all of this will be in the article. It's pretty common that people do a bunch of drugs and then they get sober and they become counselors.
Okay.
It's pretty,
it's true. I mean, a lot of the, alternative health tools podcast practitioners, healed themselves through some particular way that's not exactly mainstream, and they became practitioners. But you're talking about something a little different.
Oh, no, there's people, you see people who have cancer and then they started the charity, and this is really common. It's just a really common thing. Because academia, like, while it's valuable in its own sense, some of the most inspiring stories come, I like it when I can't enunciate the word entirely. Let's try that again. Inspiring has more than one syllable. Goddamn speech impediment. So some of the most inspiring stories are from just real life scenarios, right? Like actual, and has nothing to do with a formal education.
Right. And so that's what a lot of people call wake up calls.
And people can really build businesses off of that. That being said, I think the distinction is that there's people that are like, I had something happen, now I'm like a business out of it, and they have no business being leaders or even, you can't even see the disgust on my face. I'm like, so the point of all of this is, I mean, I'm not going to give away the answer of why there's so many fucking life coaches. There is a possibility of why there's so many life coaches. I'm going to definitely link the article, invite people to read it. But just beyond the edges of that question is the next question: who is the next great female motivational speaker? Where is she?
That's an awesome question.
Where is she? Like who, and what would be the value of it being a female? As far as that, of course, because motivation tends towards male energy being masculine energy, action-oriented energy, versus the female energy being the receptive, yielding sort of energy. But don't get me wrong, being feminine is really potent. I happen to have an example.
Of course you do.
I happen to pack that along today. So, I wore really tall platform red high heels yesterday, and this printed dress was really short, red lipstick, curled my hair, and did my makeup impeccably. I went to Whole Foods to meet a friend before I had a afternoon meeting, and just sat there by myself.
Awesome.
Just for a second. The bartender came up, placed the menu down, and he's like, "What can I get you, dear?" and obviously that's his job, so nothing special there. but then I was just flipping through my phone because it's everybody's binky and it's my pacifier as well. And just saw like, who wants to talk to me from cyberspace? No one. Ooh, pictures, pretty pictures, Instagram. Yay. So I'm on my phone and some guy looks at me and comes by and he's like, hey, listen, I can't get your text messages because you don't have my number. And I was like, wow, what the power of beauty, the power of like, and femininity, right? To just be that level of magnetic. And I've come to that. I have to say that I've been to Whole Foods pretty much every day, but I'm in my ball cap and some version of pajamas, getting breakfast or lunch or whatever. And that never happens. No one's like, nice choice of salad. You went with the kale today. That's very popular, that kale.
Actually, what you're saying is true. When I'm there and ordering, they go, oh, it's very popular. So can I comment? Because this is at the root of, honestly, who I am and where my impetus for existence exists in the sacred feminine. Mm-hmm. And I define it simply as strength and gentility. Mm. So what's nice about that phrase is that it can be embodied by a man as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that it's not sex specific,
right?
In the using the word sex in the biological terms of it. So, the ultimate curiosity comes from the questions about, well, what are we doing here? Who the fuck are we? What are we doing? And what are we doing about it? Like, who are you and what are you doing about it? Because of course I ask myself that question. Who am I? Mm-hmm. What am I doing about it? Right? What am I being about it? And again, this comes from watching Tales of Light, because a guy went to Tibet and he went to Bucharest, I think. And he took pictures of young monks debating each other right outside their monastery, and it was stunning. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's people on this earth whose existence is to wake up, to chant, to wear robes, and to debate philosophy at age 10, and to spend all days surrendering the ego. I was like, that's someone's actual lifetime existence.
That's pretty awesome.
And taking care of like llamas and sheep and both Dalai Lamas and actual llamas. Yeah. And there's a whole other perspective. There's a whole other energy of being in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And beyond what's my paycheck? What am I wearing? What purse am I carrying? What car am I driving? And so, of course, me being me means questioning existence all the time. Well, that was an interesting choice. What else could have been chosen? That's an interesting choice. And then I'm rubbing up against my own thing about not being a joiner, because
of what?
Of anything, of like
groups,
people. Ow! Lone wolf.
Tinder?
No, done. Off the app dating. Whole other topic. Quit coffee, quit the app dating, trying to really like take a stock of like my addictions,
Awesome.
Yeah. And say like, what other rituals can I choose? What other things are really going to benefit me in my world? Today I had the awareness and I was like, oh man. And I've had this several times where I was like, I want to just go shake hands, hand out my card, be like, I don't expect you to buy anything from me. I just want to know you exist, and I want you to know that I exist. We exist, right?
To me, that's the fruit of existence in terms of why we exist in humanity. It's just simply to meet somebody eye to eye like I am right now with you.
Yeah.
And just having a...
Hey.
We're here.
Hi. Body. Other person's body, my body, our infinite blended consciousness. So I have been doing work with the tools from Access Consciousness. And again, I've mentioned them many times over. And essentially, the founders have distilled down what is, I think, generic spiritual knowledge and some cognitive behavioral and their own version of magic to say, like, well, what if we live in possibility versus conclusion? And possibility being like the open creative space, and conclusion being something like, well, I was raised this, so I have to be that. Or if I eat this donut, I'm going to get fat. Well, what if that donut's a massive contribution to your body, right? And their body's actually asking for that level of sugar at that moment. Now, if it's a habitual thing, that's something that you might choose to reaffirm the wrongness of you. And these are all tools of access consciousness. It's vast, and they're always discovering, I think, new thought patterns, new ways of being. And I found it really interesting, and a little bit annoying because I think that I don't want to be a proponent of just there being one way.
Mm-hmm. Because there isn't.
Yeah.
And the world shows us that that's obvious.
Yeah. And so I can see like my language bending towards access consciousness type stuff, because it is the really powerful, super good tools. Like I'm totally in support of how they shift how you look at things, and how they offer more opportunity to advance your mindset and your life and the way that you choose things. And I just want to say that it's it's sort of a hub of things that have been in existence forever. And here's the real power of it. I keep coming back to these two things in all my exploration of motivation, of human behavior, of choosing romantic relationships, of breakups, of PTSD, of drug users. Trust me, I've like peered into the lives of all of these people. I have had a privileged position as a counselor and as a psychic to be able to be like, wow. And then to step back and look at my own life and be like, oh, fuck it, I want it to be bigger. I want it to be bigger. I want it to be bigger. I want to be that adventurer photographer and here's the amazing thing about the adventure photographers is they said one of them went out to the Himalayas to find, to take a picture of a snow leopard, which is, they call it like the ghost cat. And they saw it come on the first day, come on the very top of the ridge, but it wasn't a picture. And he said, majority of the photography that I get is all about patience. You're literally waiting for that moment. You're just waiting for that moment. You're just waiting for that moment. You're waiting for that moment.
And that's what I experience as a photographer, and also as a podcast practitioner,
and as a powerful creator, of which we all are. And so, of course, I keep coming back to sovereignty. That we chose this body. We chose to come into this when we can choose to have authority over our lives and not to give our power away. And the irony, I feel like, of quote unquote this new technology of access consciousness, the coalescing of ideas into a structured format. Where you're asking what else is possible, you're saying clearing statements, or NLP, where you're programming the mind and looking how, or neuroscience or any of that. I think today I was reminded of, I believe it's Genesis 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
what?
To go down the rabbit hole of why are there so many fucking life coaches, and what are we doing, and inventors, and people struggling, and homelessness, and rape, and fear, and opposition, and Trump for fucking president, and that we've all contributed to creating these conditions. I think through here's the source code of life. You ready?
Yeah.
Through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Our thoughts are words. In the beginning was the word. In the beginning of any action is the word. Is a word. The vibration of that. And the word was with God. And the word was God. So I offer this podcast up because I know for sure that I'm one of many who are going about the business of asking, why am I here? What am I doing? And what am I doing about it? What am I going to create? Right? And there's this weekend here in North County, San Diego, there's the millionaire mindset. So people are like, well, maybe if I create $1 million, that'll fix things. Well, will it? Maybe. Could you be the contribution that saves the orca whales? Possibly, if you leverage that money in a certain way. We're obviously seeing the fight for water happen around the world right now. I believe there's water protectors. I'm not getting the name right, but I watched this film when it's one of the Kennedy boys talking about early in the Hudson Bay, there was these fishermen that organized together to say, we need to protect this water. And that's been going on around the world ever since. And so there's a fight rising up. And I believe possibly, if you really want to get theoretical about it, we could be on the edge of World War III, and their fight will be over water. It'll be over the resource of water because that is the lifeblood. So I know this has a cheeky title of like, why are there so many fucking life coaches? But because I keep drilling down and drilling down and I know, John, for you too, you're a seeker, like you don't do alternative health tools just for the yell you get. To bring
no, I actually,
together.
it's just interesting you mentioned that. I realized actually recently that I'm actually not a seeker. What I am is I'm here to actually share what's already been found. And so it's like when I met you, I found something that I knew was true, and it simply needed to be shared. So I told a friend of mine the other day, it's like, I'm not really inclined to do a lot of workshops and stuff, mainly because if I simply took everything I've been exposed to in 64 years of living and simply applied it, it would be enough for I am enough. Right? So, but thank you.
Well, thank you for that correction, because actually what came into my awareness was I'm a reminder. Like, what's your job title? I'm a reminder.
Awesome.
I renew people's minds. And in the renewal of your mind, be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. Your heart is also set free. Your freedom. Ultimately, the energy, the vibration, the essence of that. And whether that means that I am traveling the nation in my car and just shaking hands and kissing babies or whatever. Hopefully it'll be a van. Anybody want to donate a van? I'll take it. And doing that great work, because there is part of me that's like, this one-on-one coaching is such a slow burn process. I want to be able to, I was like, I want to move in the product sphere and start making more that people are actually connecting with, but also being able to participate in the energy of that. So I see why Tony Robbins sells out stadiums.
11,000 people up there this last week.
Yeah, 11,000 people, because it's the collective collaboration of that energy and the participation in that. And he was clever enough to name his thing, I'm Not Your Guru. And I think he's going for the same thing I am, is that we're sovereign, right? But I am the next great female motivational speaker. Like I was like that. I was like, essentially, if I didn't have the awareness of that, I probably would have never considered it. I would have just been like, oh, there's a bunch of, guys saying, get your shit together. Get your shit together. So, but I was like, what does that mean? What does it mean to take on a life, to take on the enormity of a life where you are a leader? What does that mean? Is Trump a leader? I don't know. We've appointed him to a position of leadership. And
well, it's real easy to tell if someone's a leader. If you're a leader, or you think you're a leader, if you really want to know, you simply turn around and look to see who's following. if anybody is following. And I think with Trump, he's definitely a leader because there's a lot of people that are following. Right or wrong, black or white, good or bad, evil, whatever. It makes absolutely no difference. He is leading. So that's a conscious decision at this point, since some sort of decision is made about this person, quote unquote, leading the country. Now it's up to us to make a decision.
Revitalize, refresh, renew. One of the things I learned in Access Conscious is everywhere that you made it valuable, vital, and real, to buy that. Made it significant, made money significant, made your relationship significant, your age significant, your disease significant, anything that you've made significant. Would you be willing to just let that go, right? Let that go so there's more space. So anywhere that you've bought, that there's a leader that should be significant. So when I say the difference, I think motivational speaker, my hope would be that the quality life coaches, or whatever, there is a sort of a conclusion and judgment in here, but the thing is that we all have questions. We all have questions. So, and if you want your questions, if you want to explore the possibilities of what you could create, I invite you to touch base with me at RebekahFreedom.com. And
it's spelled
REBEKAH freedom.com. Thank you all so much.
And SoundCloud, you can be found there too.
Oh yeah. If you Google's Rebekah Freedom, I'm all over. Pinterest, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, on the different channels. I don't have a Tumblr because I'm not a porn star quite yet. My alter ego, Cheyenne, might be, but that's a whole other conversation. So thank you all so much for listening. Be sovereign. Let's do this.